Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to episode 2 of the Drift Games podcast. We survived the first episode. People seem to like it, which means we shouldn't, probably won't. Will we do another one? We will, because we said we're going to do it every week on a Wednesday at 8 o'clock. And I'm Dave.
We have to stick to our word.
We'll stick to it. We'll be out there talking business now for the next hour or so. Thank you for joining us. We're going to be talking about lots of different topics that have been coming up this week. My name is Dave. I'm joined by my good pals. Sort of good pals. Lads I have to work with.
That was the nicest introduction I think you could have ever given me.
Yeah, it's going to get worse from here. So, Josh, how are you?
I'm very good.
Adam, how are you?
Cold, but we're here.
Cold. We're at -1 now. We're at -2. We're warming up. We're warming up to the summer, boys.
The summer's on the way.
It's on the way. I can feel it a little bit.
Don't be fooled by the breath.
Yeah.
No,
it is as cold as it looks.
I would never put you guys through this if it was this cold. You're just pretending. It's all the effects. Josh puts the CGI breath in every time. It's perfect.
Yeah, Adam's got his hands in his pockets for no reason whatsoever.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Well, yeah, Dave, you've got...
I've got to keep them moving just to stay warm. Just to stay warm. So today we're going to be talking about, starting off with what we picked up from the first podcast. Lots of interaction. We had like over 350 comments.
Very good interaction.
We read them all, because we always do. We didn't get to reply to everyone in detail. There was a lot of great points made about lots of different stuff. So I'm going to try and just rattle through that very quickly. First of all, we started off with the old Russian Drift Series announcement, and we learned from the comments.
We did get corrected.
So basically what we realized is we learned that the RDS Europe is not in Europe, it's in Russia, but it's on the European side of Russia.
It's kind of where they want Russia, is it?
It's too soon? Maybe too soon. But basically what it's a Pro-Am series on the west of Russia, and they called it RDS West, which I would have understood. But then they changed it to RDS Europe, which we didn't. So I take back that they're not doing a European series, but I'm still going to very much reiterate that I have no idea what that statement meant, and it was very confusing.
Well, it was the amateur series.
Yeah, but
they called it Europe.
I don't understand it either.
So it's a very confusing name, and I think we're completely within our right to be confused by it.
And Josh is within his right to be confused most of the time anyway.
Yeah.
But even more so
yeah.
But even for their statement, they can't clarify their statement now, either on Facebook or Instagram.
And the best thing is when, especially people from Russia, explained it to us on the comments, it still was confusing. So I was like,
yes,
I think could be lost in translation. And then one guy said,
very much
do you guys
lost.
not know a little bit of Russian? I was like, nobody knows a bit of Russian anywhere in Europe except for Russia and maybe places close to it. Anyway, we're going to go past that because we want to move on to another thing that people talked about, which was the current state of car culture in Ireland. I'm going to give my overall synopsis of what I heard back from. We had some great comments.
Yeah.
So what I heard was cars are too expensive, can't get into cool cars because of insurance and cost and running costs, which again is more expensive, I suppose, than when I was doing it years ago. And people can only afford to have one car, so they can't afford another car to be a project car that sits and doesn't drive the next morning, which is why the modifications being made are very like in and out, hour or two modifications, because they need that car in 2 hours to go home at the end of whatever they're modifying. So that is a little bit where we are much more privileged in that we can have cars that, let's be honest, some might have moved for many a year. But if it was my only car, you know yourself, it's difficult to do. So I can sympathize with that. What I also don't sympathize with at the same time is uniqueness. I think we still have room for uniqueness in the car game, and I think there's not enough of that. So if you are only going to do a wheel mod, maybe do an interesting one. If you're going to do something different, do something a little bit risky. Don't get me wrong, a lot of nice cars in Ireland at the moment, I will say, but I like a bit of uniqueness. I want to see it at the shows this year. I don't want to just see the same constant modifications that are sort of like go-to modifications. That's what I took from it. I don't know what you guys took from it.
Well, like Mark 7 Golfs, like if you have a Mark 7 Golf now, it's like a standard pack. You go buy this wheel, you go buy that lip, you go buy this and that. Yeah, as I say, have a bit of uniqueness, do something bit different, try something out of the box. And
people might not like it, but people will remember your car. Where, you know, at the moment I would say a lot of forgettable cars at car meets, like kind of the same as somewhere else. I've seen another one of these, exactly the same lip kit, exactly the same wheels. So I get it. There's a look that does work, and you don't have to take any risk on it. You know it's going to work, and you can spend your money knowing that it's going to be perfect. But we want to see a push of uniqueness. That's kind of what we got into the car game for.
But even on the cost back in the day, like there was mental money spent on cars, and that's just the way it has been.
I think if you're going to have cars as a hobby, it's not a cheap hobby. No. And it never will be. I always used to say this about drifting, you know, constant talk about money. You don't go drifting, or someone doesn't even imagine going drifting if they don't have money.
I don't think it's even drifting. I think it's motorsport.
Motorsport, cars, it's an expensive hobby. If you want to do cheaper things, you can go online and do online racing, or you can do whatever. But this is an expensive thing to do is do up modified cars. It's almost more expensive than you even imagine it will be at the start. So I don't think people should be surprised by that if it's expensive, because if I said to someone, I'm going to go modify a car, someone's going, sounds like a cheap way and they'll get around the weekend.
That's my favourite quote of all time is John Shanahan in Watergrass Hill when he said Connor would have some amount of football boots for the money he spent on the car.
Exactly. And it's a different thing. So you've got to say that people admire people with very nice cars or big builds because it's not easily attainable, because it's a lot of money and you've got to dedicate a lot of your income to it. So it's like, I would akin this to old times when there was an artist that might spend 6 months doing a church, but that church stands for the rest of time. Whereas if someone just throws one up in 20 minutes, it's probably blown down at this stage. So that's kind of like I always say, no easy gains, and you're not going to get loads of people going, you're unbelievable for a 20-minute mod on a car. So that's the way you got to approach it. If it's a long-term thing or a short-term thing, I think just have a goal in mind at the end of the car. And I think, we all sometimes do it. I'm guilty of it sometimes, going for the safe option. I know that's going to work. I know that's, except for my Toyota Pro Ace, which I bought because there is only one lip for that car in the whole world. So I had many options when it came to that. But I was like, normally you've got quite a few options. But I think nowadays, buy the Maxton design lip kit, buy the lower end springs, get the rep wheels, job done. And you're like, I'm a modified car enthusiast, and I'm going,
unreal. Yeah.
Unreal.
Yeah.
All right, so we'll move on from that. We'll get back to some cool car stuff in a minute, because we have a couple of discussions on this coming our way. Anything else from the last podcast you guys want to bring up? I thought I get slated a little bit more for being more of an elitist in my views, but I see some people agreeing.
I thought we would get slated a little bit more with our opinions on the car scene and everything like that. The thing that I took from it was a lot of people, more people than I thought, were actually on our side and kind of had the same views and saw the car scene the same way. So it was kind of nice to see people do see it from our point of view. We're not the only ones, because, like I say, these conversations we only really have around the office and with a few of our friends. Like, we don't have a wide group of people that you have the opinions from. So it was actually quite interesting to see, like, there was no one really going against us that much,
which is surprising.
Yeah, and we said our point of view exactly how it was. We didn't try and be kind to anyone, or like, we went in on a few cars and stuff.
But then you also
people had the same hatred for those cars.
Yeah, but you also think that the audience that watches drift games would sort of know what we would be into anyway, and the guys who aren't into that maybe aren't watching and watch other content that's more about what they're into. Like,
going to events over the last, it could be back since COVID's done now.
COVID 2, it's back.
It's back
with revenge.
But like we have a fairly broad audience that kind of covers most.
We do.
Like the Stancy stuff, really high end stuff, and then kind of road going Mark 7 Golfs and that's the sort of stuff. So I think
drifting
and
bit of drifting in there,
a little bit.
No, but on the show side, that's the road.
Yeah.
That's we've broad enough. So I think we cover all the.
But I think we have a very broad opinion of cars. I mean, like, from everybody that's in like our drift games team, there's no way you could stand there and go, there's a theme to any of this.
I think we like all of each other's cars,
but
we definitely have our own style of, like, I like that car. It's like the GX100. I like that car. I wouldn't want that car, but I appreciate it for what it is.
I want that car.
Yeah, like with your MX-5s, I hate those cars, and I also
I
buy
love
those
cars.
No, but you know what I mean? You have the thing you like. I appreciate why you like it.
Yeah.
And that's kind of like, we're like our own little car community within drift games, where, Keen has a nice diesel BMW, which I'm driving at the minute, and I go, this is a lovely car. It looks great. You have a Golf Mark 4, 5. When it gets back in the years now, I get confused. But like a very nice looking Mark 5. And we have people with diesel cars. Blaine has a Suzuki Swift Sport. I mean, and two Grandad mobiles. Blaine has a Suzuki Swift Sport and an LS400 and a BMW 6 Series. Like, there's no sense to any of that.
He has the biggest and the smallest car in the company.
He has. And then for me, it's a lot of JDM stuff, and then randomly all my drift cars are American muscle, which obviously doesn't make sense either.
Yep, absolutely
but it doesn't have to make sense. That's kind of what I'm into, what you're into, and if anyone else has cars, I just think we have a pride in everything we have, so we want it to look pretty good. So even though Josh gets a rusty MX-5, I've heard the plan for that car being finished, and I know he's not going to go, just rough it down. You want it to be a nice looking car. You want it to be a transformation, like the caterpillar to the butterfly.
Absolutely. I want to put pride in. I want to put my little bit to it to make it shine.
It's very caterpillar right now. I'm looking at it right now.
Yeah. It's definitely the
squished.
Yeah.
It's the moth that's in the cocoon.
Yeah, it's the moth that's in your clothes and you want to get them out. That's pretty much it. But to be fair, I'll give him credit. He has a bit of taste when it comes to certain things. So
you put the certain things in there.
But I leave it my judgment until the car's finished. But I know he won't stop until the car looks good because he doesn't want people to go, that thing is a hen house. So I get that. And all of the styles, and again, we're open to it at shows. We'll go look at supercars. We'll go look at Stancy cars, European cars, old JDM stuff. And I think that's a lot of the misconception of our channel is that if you're super hardcore JDM, you're like, how does he not know like the valve train and the da-da-da, and you're going, because I like all cars, there's no way I don't geek out on one particular car. Like I don't just go, that one particular car is all I care about. Some people do, it's absolutely fine. But I like everything. I could tell you a little bit about probably every model of car that's out there, from supercars down to 86 Corollas. But I won't be in depth on any of them because I'm just passing through. I don't own one of them, so I don't know all those things. But yeah, we like the variety. I think that's very much me anyway. I like trying different cars out, going through phases of I like this and now I don't like this. I'll go off and do this, trying it all out. Because like my whole car journey, I never wanted to start with one car and then 15 years later have the same car. I was like, you haven't really learned a whole lot about car culture there. You've only learned about a car. So I like moving through them. Other people don't. Other people like one particular thing and they stay with that, and they might have 20 of the same car, which never. I mean, imagine having 3 MX-5s that were nearly all
I was going to
the
say,
same.
you're kind of describing me right now.
But all your MX-5s are totally different. You know what I mean? As in, bar maybe the 2 road ones. But I'm saying like even your drift MX-5s are completely different setup, different style, different look. If you built 4 of them all the same, I'd go, I don't understand what the need for the other 3 is.
He comes into the office like, oh, I'm buying a new project. It's like, what mark MX-5 is it? It's like,
you're going to have to give up on it someday because you've run out of them now.
Yeah, no, I've given up now. The next car will be something different.
It can't. If you come in with an NB MX-5 at some point, I swear to
gotta
God,
wait,
back
like I think I was predictable, but I think if I was to go for another MX-5, it'd be going too predictable.
You'd go from predictable and teeter over into just a sad man.
Yeah.
Go for some really different, like the Fiat 124, like the.
I think you can come in and go, got an RX-8.
Yeah.
Like, oh, just give over, Josh. Buy something else. I think RX-7s. You got to graduate.
RX-7, that's the one I'll probably go into.
Like MX-5s are kind of like the primary school level of car modifications, and then RX-7s are like the secondary school level. So you can step up to the RX-7s, and then you get real hardship. You don't even know hardship yet until you get into the rotaries.
Just wait.
So yeah, let us know in the comments. Should Josh buy a rotary car and try and fix it himself? That'd be fantastic. Longest series on the channel. 8 years later, still haven't a notion.
It has too.
Yeah.
4 engines in the shed.
What is an Apex seal? My God, they're always gone.
Right, so I've taken the engine completely apart. Still haven't found the pistons here, so I'm not sure how deep I need to go. Okay, so that brings us on to our next topic, which I want to talk about is building from the car scene culture issue we were talking about. Is there still cheap cars out there that people can buy? So what I'm asking is, we're going to try and do this on the spot because I haven't really thought about this before. Cheap JDM, small engine for easy for insurance, and kind of modern so that you can get insurance. So what options do young people have in the JDM world?
Well, I find it funny that a lot of the cars that you did a video, the top 10 cheapest starter drift cars a year ago. They're all expensive cars now. That list is out the window.
That's dated horribly.
I still remember the thumbnail for that was 350s, and like that was a 350Z.
I'd scrabble for $2,000 to go out there drift, and now $10,000. No,
anything desirable that isn't.
No, but I'm not saying desirable, because if it's desirable, you're not going to afford it.
But I think there needs to be new trends of cars.
That's what I'm saying. I'm saying, is there something out there that we haven't seen that could be the next thing? I'm going to put an example out there. Me and Josh went to LA. Well, you were in LA as well, Adam, but we went to a car meet. Mazda 3 everywhere.
Yep.
Haven't seen one Mazda 3 in Ireland modified, and they look really good modified. So a Mazda 3 is a modern enough car. You can get them in a petrol engine or a diesel if you really want to, but either way, modern looking car. You can get loads of kits for them. There's loads of options. Let's say the Subaru Impreza hatchback. I haven't seen too many of them in Ireland done very well. They are very stanced out in America.
Quite expensive though.
Not the non-WRX ones. No, they're like $2,000.
No, I think Josh thinking of the newer one you're thinking of.
Yeah, the newer one is still only like $2,000-3,000 for a diesel one.
No, surely not.
Okay, keep talking, and I'm gonna bring you up on it.
You mean the completely standard, like bog standard one.
Yeah. I mean, you're not going to buy a WRX as your first car, but I'm saying you could buy one to look like a WRX or stance it out. They do really good kits for those in across the world. So like, okay, Impreza hatchback, let's say Mazda 3. What about the Corollas, like the kind of modern-y ones that maybe Asbo had in...
I think they look...
In America, like, I think they just do a bit more of everything. Like, people will go... Let's say the Mazda 3. They will go there to the Mazda 3 and there'd be a cool kit.
No, but think about it. Your choice here is... we're leveling now because obviously we're much older and it's easy for us. But if I was 20, 21... and my choice was a Mark IV Golf or a Mark V Golf, Mark VI Golf, Bora, Passat, 520D, right? So that's like what everyone has them. So like no matter what one you buy, everyone has one. You have the same option of going with a Mazda 3 and putting some mods on it, or an Impreza hatchback, or one of those Corollas because you know they can look good. I mean, this is about aesthetics, remember, because none of those cars that I've mentioned, the Golfs, are fast or great or anything. It's just they're a nice car that look nice and they're practical. But looking through all the different cars that you can get, like Nissan doesn't really have anything.
No, they're really switched off.
You know what I've actually seen?
Here we go.
A few Micras that look fairly good.
The new ones?
No, not the new ones. The old ones.
Like the C10?
Before I got the E46 from you, I was scouring the internet for a K11 Micra.
Really?
Yeah.
But I mean, like, so you buy a 1 litre Micra.
Slow, yeah.
Doesn't matter.
Tell a few fibs to the insurance company, put the engine in there, and
but
then
like they have a wide body kit and a lip kit.
The wide body
Japan.
kit, and once it's slammed on banded steels or something, look incredible.
But the newer shape Micra, which I'm not the one that looked like a Beetle, the one after that, sharp kind of angly one, not a bad looking car. Yaris, modern ones, not bad looking. You can put a kit on them, even if it's not like a GR Yaris, but you got like the middle range ones there. Like they're all JDM cars that, as far as I can tell, I don't see very many of them. Another thing that I don't see a lot of is, I mean, Kai cars.
Yeah.
I mean, in Japan, they have literally probably 9 million modifications for Kai cars. And they're the cheapest cars in the world. You can import them. They're less than 1 litre, but they have a turbo, a lot of them, so they're not slow. They are slow, but they're not like Micra K11.
Yeah,
slow.
there was an Asian family that lived behind my family house that had a little K car, and I loved seeing it in the estate. It was just a little kind of like just nippy little thing.
Yeah, but you could buy a K car, bring it in. A lot of people have done it now with the commercials, the trucks, because obviously you can get the VAT.
They're not cheap.
You can get. They're not massive money though.
Once you VRT them, you're looking at like what, $7,000ish?
No. There's no VRT because it's €200 commercial. But I'm saying that like it's $4 or $5 for one of them, but they're overpriced in my opinion. But I'm saying like the Kai cars, you could bring a Kai car in, very cool car, something different. So that we're now at what? Probably there's 20 of them model wise in Japan. So there's a lot of options there for small engined, cool little cars. And a lot of people would say, oh, you know, you guys should go and take this budget and do this. Yeah, but like realistically, like we shouldn't do it because one, it's not what we're doing it just for the sake of a view or whatever. Like people out there at the moment, I'm pretty sure if someone gave me, let's say they gave me $8,000 and they needed something insurable, and I'm pretty sure I could go out there and find something that everyone would know who they are because of that car. And it's not going to be a conventional car. But maybe that's just me thinking.
I think for like $2.5 you could build a cool K11 Micra.
You could.
I'm mad for this.
Absolutely. I was looking up, I was like, then you see yourself in them, and you see yourself driving around, and then you look at that Aegis driving down the road.
Yeah. But you'd be happy in your little car though.
I had a Micra as my first car. Fantastic car. And like never broke down. Reliable.
But they're too old now for people to get insured on, because they would be like, you're talking like 00 to 04, right?
And it's also probably a massive issue with K cars for young lads. It's young ones.
Yeah, you can't bring too many young ones around it.
No, it's not even that. But like, imagine you turned up to a date and that thing.
She's come to collect me in a toaster.
Yeah.
It's like the Fast and Furious with the Hulk fits on the side.
That's literally, that's what it looked like. It's like you meet her on Tinder, you got the chats going great, happy days, you turn up.
Is there, do you know what's funny about Ireland is, if you've got a BMW, people think it's fancy.
Oh yeah.
Even if it's €200 worth
of
a
100%.
BMW. Oh, he's got a BMW. Yeah. It's a bad BMW, but he's got a BMW. He's got a Mark.
You can like Fred Flintstone, you're through your feet through the...
Yeah, it's weird that way, isn't it? Because you could buy... I had a little bit of this when obviously I traded the Porsche to the Supra, and people were like, oh... Like, as in, like, you got rid of the Porsche because, like, oh, it's a downgrade to a Toyota.
Life's not going so well for you.
Yeah, I thought he was doing all right for himself.
COVID hit now.
COVID hit, and there's Dave. He was driving around a Porsche now. He's driving around in some Toyota thing. Like, that's the way people look at it, very badge related. So maybe the BMW, Volkswagen, Mercedes brigade is hard to come away from because of some sort of allusion to class, even though they're quite the most... I would say probably overrated car.
Literally,
yeah. But you know what I mean? Like I'm saying, there's interesting stuff out there. Maybe if you guys have any suggestions of that's the homework for this week. Has to be.
Are we getting homework for the
now?
podcast?
Yeah. Back to school, Josh. If you ever went at all, we basically get. You have to go small engine, fairly modern, cool, blah 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 blah.
With a bit of a kit and low, it's kind of be cool.
It can be
potential for it.
Yeah. Well, any car can be cool, kind of right. Do you know what I don't see enough of as well in Ireland? You know what I'm mad for, and I have terrible notions. The big vans, the JDM vans with the big kit in the wheels. Like,
There's
you know,
one,
the ones
there's one
with
of
the
them
big
that
sound
parks.
system.
There's one of them that parks in Phibsborough, and they think it's an old fella that drives. He looks like a maniac
It's-
driving around
it
this
is-
thing.
They are so cool. You know the ones where like full sound system,
Yeah.
recliners in the back,
Oh, this one has
DVD players.
the big fins up the roof.
Oh,
and
it's like a
everything.
proper
Yeah.
Bose
Oh, he has a
Zuzuku.
Bose Zuzuku like style. He just
lovely
parks it on
that.
the side of the street and just drives around every day, and you're like,
That is a man
Yeah.
close to my heart. Driving around his Bose Zuzuku van. I'm not sure in the middle of Phibsborough.
close to your heart and the mind of Kanye West. That's about it.
Yeah, but I mean, it's like you're driving around a cartoon.
Yeah.
Like, and people know who you are. You know who he is. If he drove a 08 Passat, you wouldn't know who he is.
Yeah.
But a man in a
Here
giant
you are
pink.
talking about him.
Yeah, true.
What colour is it?
White.
It's a white Bose Zuzuku van going around Phibsborough. I must go check that out.
Yeah.
But either way, not maybe Bose Zuzuku style, but I'm talking about like, you know, the Previas and stuff with
Yeah,
the
yeah,
dishy
yeah.
wheels and like,
Yeah.
they're cool. And
see-
nobody
you
really
see-
does them here.
But you see some soccer moms driving them, and they've obviously just went to it like, and that looks nice, and I'll buy it.
Oh, it's totally coming off the boat as
Yeah.
a standard Previa or just a Previa, and they bought it, and
I
you
went,
can
this
see
is
it.
lovely, and and you're like, it has a massive 20
HKS exhaust on the back of it, teen suspension.
yeah.
But in Japan, that's a big culture.
Yeah.
In the UK, big culture. A lot of vans in the UK, those import vans, like the Previas and the Noahs and whatever they're called. Something, again, I think if you went to the insurance company, would probably go, well, he's just driving a big van.
it's a people carrier.
It's absolutely fine.
That's a sensible family wagon.
yeah,
Yeah.
that man is definitely not going to be doing any hooping around in that thing. And, as you said, pulling up to a date, don't even need the hotel.
Don't yeah.
Like, you have the hotel on wheels.
You-
You,
the
can
hotel-
go to the cinema in the back.
Yeah, the hotel has arrived.
People aren't thinking. The hotel has arrived. We're going to the cinema. We are at the cinema. Into the back, DVD player. I mean, privacy. I'm just saying.
So what you're saying is the entire car culture rotates around young ones.
Well, it always has.
Yeah,
Well, when you're 17 and you first get a car, why else do you get a car?
absolutely.
But now people.
But
are
why the
buying
hell did you buy an
Previas
MX-5?
going, this is like the job. I was like, this is
Guys, didn't go too well.
Yeah.
people giving out the price of rent and the price of cars. Combine the two.
We just solved the
We've
price
solved
of
it.
living and the car culture.
Buy a Previa, put on a kit, deck it, lads tinker class. Somewhere to live,
Yeah.
right outside the back of your mum and dad's house. You can live in the Previa. You can have your missus over, watch a bit of films. You know what I mean? Plug it into the old mains in the house.
Netflix and chill.
Yeah, full limo tints as usual. No one would suspect the thing. And then drive around, pretty cheap to run, automatic, nice and comfortable. I mean, I've solved the problem here for many people.
You've literally named Josh's wish. This is what he wants. This is what he wants from the
Josh
camper.
has a camper, but it's not a cool looking
Oh.
camper. His camper looks like he's going to have a hard hat and a pencil on his ear when he gets out of it. Like
Yeah.
it's a proper builder's van.
Yeah.
But if you had a cool camper, it'd be like, you know, I don't know. I've seen a couple of them in Ireland over the years, and I think they're very cool. I think I'm going to try and get one within the next 2 years, just because I think they're cool.
Well, the price has just gone up right now.
No, they won't do it. They'll still drive around in the Boras and the Goffs. I'll be in the Previa going, look at
at
all
me
the
now."
space I have in here. I have 8 lads drinking Buckfast there. I technically have a bar.
It's like the lads who drive around Donegal in the limo with all the lads hanging
Exactly.
out. It's like,
The Previa would be perfect for that. And I mean, Darren McNamara built a very cool.
He had the banded steels and
Yeah.
the... I know he put works on his, didn't he?
Yeah, and bolt-on arches. You can
Yeah,
put
bolt-on
on
arches.
and everything.
Sprayed the same colour as the drift car.
I'm going to get everyone to Google something. It's going to sound mad, but you're going to Google it the minute I say it. Go check out the prior design body kit for the Dacia Duster.
Oh, stop.
Unbelievable.
That shocked me.
Everyone at home is thinking we're being sarcastic here. Go check it out. If you can buy a Dacia Duster and put that kit on in Ireland, you've one of the coolest looking cars. Still going to be rubbish.
See, the thing
underneath.
is that just the render?
I don't know.
I don't know.
Like,
But where,
it does
well,
look unbelievable.
where-
Brian Scotto from Hoonigan's Audi was a render from prior design. It turned out pretty good.
we came back from Hoonigan looking at that car, and I was like, how do we get it? Who can make a copy like that car in person?
It's
is
unbelievable.
Spectacular.
Dacia Duster, prior design wide body. Everyone go Google it. If you're watching this on, if you're watching this,
the
on,
views
on
have just
TV,
gone down now. Everyone's cut off.
No, get on your phone. Go on your phone. Go on Google. Prior design, PRIOR design Duster. Someone's got to build it.
where were
it
we?
can't just be me, lads. You can't be leaving it to me.
That's just, we were away somewhere and that kit got released, and you were looking at your phone.
I was
going,
close enough,
You were
yeah.
like, oh, just do it.
But I'd have to go. Well, I got rid of the Porsche.
And
I bought
that's
a Dacia
the
Duster
newest
and a
production car
Toyota.
you can buy, is it?
You can buy one new
It's-
for
you
like
can buy
nine,
one
brand new.
Like nine.
It's one of the newest production cars that you can buy.
I don't know what newest you mean. I mean, what's the newest production car you can buy?
Well, I mean, like new.
No, but every company has new cars, John. They're all
it's
as
like,
new as each other.
you know, the new
if no one's
M4
owned them before, they're new.
The new M4 it's not really new, is it?
No, it's newer. Do you know what's newer? Mercedes. Newer.
No, the M5 is new as well. The new
No,
M5.
not as new as the newer ones.
You know exactly what I
It's a
meant.
modern
And now
car
you-
that's cheap.
He
You
means
think cheap
the
instead
cheapest,
of new.
newest modern
But is
car.
it? But as a new car, though.
I don't know what you mean by new car. It's a new car, yes.
Yes,
che- it's
it's
the
the cheapest new
cheapest.
Cheap,
car.
you never
You
said
just
the word
didn't
cheap
say
until
this,
right
the
there.
word
You
cheap.
just,
No.
you said it's the
You
newest
just kept
new
saying
car.
the newest new.
Oh wow.
As in, like Josh is saying, it's literally just come out 20 seconds ago from the factory. It's the newest car.
But then that car. But then the one after this is always.
And then the one just after it in the factory, that was newer again.
Sorry. Newest cheap car.
There we are.
There you go. Yes, it is.
You've lost 5 minutes of your life there, ladies and gentlemen.
I think it is. It's like 9.
They've lost 5 minutes looking at the kit.
995.
But I think you have to get the later. Anyway, I don't know why we're talking about Dacia Dusters. But what I do like about conversations like this is that the car culture isn't pigeonholed. You can go down so many avenues that people don't. We're over 30, so obviously we can kind of go to the classics and the 30-year-old cars or whatever, like the cars that have 56 euro tax and the classic insurance. That's where we're getting to, so it's a little easier for us to do that.
Can I just say, I was on the interwebs the other night and I was looking in the UK for cheap cars. Not even like rusty things or whatever. You can buy a Bentley Continental GT for 10 grand with massaging seats. It's a V12 or W12, isn't it?
Yeah.
That is meant. Obviously, if something goes wrong, it's going to cost you 100 grand and it's a complete disaster.
Yeah.
But for a brief moment, you can have a Bentley for 10 grand with massaging seats. It'd be fast enough.
You know what, Josh? I spent at least half my life down that rabbit hole of what I could buy in the UK that would be flashy for cheap.
It's depressing. Look at that behind you. That's double the price of a Bentley Continental. Does those seats massage you?
They do. It's very bumpy.
That car could have every single feature in the world. Joshua says massage seats 3 times.
Oh,
he loves massage seats.
It would be unbelievable.
You can actually get the 4-door flying spur for about 15,000 pounds.
And then don't get me onto the Aston Martin. I only learned 25 grand for Advantage.
25 grand for Advantage, yeah.
Everyone thought Sultan was crazy. You'd be crazier turning one of those PSs into a drift car.
You would. He said it was cheaper than an S-body shell.
And you've already got a V8 there for it.
Yeah, laughing.
I think the new age of drifting could be very good.
So what we're going to see now at the car meets is Bentley Continentals.
and key cars.
K cars.
K cars.
Previous, obviously. And K11 Micros.
Hopefully,
and you know what? I would actually enjoy that meet, to be honest. I'd walk around going, well, who's wasted the biggest load of money here?
My life's hardship. How is yours?
Yeah. Oh, I've got Aston Martin. Can you put 8 people drinking Buckfast night? You can't. Come over to the Previa. We're throwing on another keg. Anyway, we've had to talk about there's still cool cars out there. There's still rare cars out there. There's still different stuff out there. I would like to see a little bit more of it, as we always say on this channel. But there's a couple of ideas,
So if you're under 25, ring that insurance company and say you've bought a Bentley. See what happens.
Yes, Continental GT.
You idiot, we'll insure you because it's only going to be working for like half an hour.
And they'll go, well, it's very expensive because often people fall asleep from the massage seats and crash straight into a wall. And
that could be why.
Yeah, whereas my boy's rolling in his mam van and then he's also going, I've got a Dacia Duster. Dacia Duster, no problem at all.
You put a body kit on it.
Is it on the standard body kit? Absolutely. Is it on the standard wheels? Absolutely. No problem at all. That's where you want to be. Okay, so we'll move on to our next topic.
I think we nailed that topic.
I think we got that one pretty down.
I think we really. I didn't know where that was going.
I was going to say, we're 2 episodes in and we've literally solved car culture.
We're doing all right. I don't know what we're going to do with the next.
I was going to say, there's no episode 3.
There's no episode 3. Done. We completed. Credits roll. Josh, put the credits up there. We'd like to thank everyone for helping us solve car culture. Anyway, we'll move on to our next topic, which is going to be a little bit of a downer from the upper. Which it's not a downer, but we got a couple of questions of people asking us, and in an honest way saying that obviously we live very public, I suppose life is the right way of saying it, but also they were asking, what do we do when we've down days? How do we get through all the down days? And there is a couple of down days in this.
Oh, there is.
There's quite a few. Josh had one last week.
You rant and you shout and you get angry and you... Yeah.
I think obviously we use this, and this is just to say that obviously we're the same as everybody else, but we have a job where there's a lot of tension, a lot of stress at times, and then we're using our channel as an escape for people. So they want to come to our channel to have fun with cars, to see cool things. Now, we are pretty real about stuff a lot of the time, and we do let people know. But we know that not many people want to hear us rant and rave, and that's why we have a podcast now. I think that's probably what's filled the void here, is that we have this podcast. But we do have our down days. We do have our days where we're not feeling so great about what's going on. We have our arguments between ourselves, generally not personal, but more work-related, I would say, or almost always work-related, except for Josh, who's just really annoying. And but other than that, we do have bad days.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I think that's, what I think is, a lot of people have been talking about mental health, especially over the last 2 years, because it's been a really shitty time to be... Yeah. Into anything, because there's nothing going on. But I think what we want to reach out to people and say that, obviously I spoke when I was talking about the compound, about bringing people together, and cars bringing people together, and car meets bringing people together. And I'm very much a believer of that sharing a hobby, sharing a passion is very good for the brain. Having a project is good for the brain because you have something to distract yourself with and focus on. And I think that's something that all of us here have I definitely think from my perspective, I've used my hobbies, my work, my goals to distract myself from the bad days sometimes. I think you just say, right, full foot to the floor. If you're going so fast, you're blurred vision that you can't see what's beside you. So I think that's kind of it. We've all had our ups and downs. Josh, you sometimes make a video, it doesn't do well, and you've spent a lot of time on it. It feels pretty crap.
That's kind of, I always think that the job that we do is critiqued by thousands of people. So it's kind of, I've dealt with it better now, but sometimes like at the start when you used to like get maybe 100 comments and then one may be bad at you, personal at you, and you really get taken down by it sometimes, but then you kind of think that's only one person or whatever, it's fine and everything. Or another one, what happened recently, you make a video that you really put your heart and soul into and you spend a lot of time and you think it's going to go good, and then it doesn't go good, and then you start questioning God knows what about it. How can I do it better? Like, and I think that's the worst thing sometimes, where you think you did the best job possible that you could possibly do, and then you doesn't get the reward that you think that it should, and then you think, well, where can I go from there? Like, that's where my talent is. Stupidly, the video that we're on about has now rocketed and it's gone a bit viral now. So
it's an emotional roller coaster.
It was an emotional roller coaster that I don't want to jinx it. But it's so strange how our emotions are sometimes like, we can get so down by views. Like, it's amazing how such a small thing and a platform where we make videos for can really have an...
I think what's really important is that people probably won't realize. I mean, me and you were having a conversation. I think it was start last week, and we'd done the same amount of views that week as we had done the first week we'd ever done YouTube.
Yeah. And we were looking at screen grabs between the same time, was it 4 or 3 years ago, and we're just swiping through, and it was down at, what, 15,000 or 10,000?
And we were sitting there going, wow, we've done 4 years of work every day, flat out.
100,000 subscribers, which is supposed to be a huge achievement.
And then doing like 300 and something videos, and how many late nights, and how much traveling, and here we are right back where we started.
Yeah.
And that can be quite, and I think, this is unique to us.
Oh, very.
But I would say that to other people, that I think is probably a part of people getting a bit pissed off, is the not kind of feel like you're running in mud, feel like you keep going back in circles, and that can happen to us just the same.
Well, that's what we keep on, is the saying of we all feel as a team, we're pushing the boulder to the top of the hill, and then the hill just keeps on getting bigger. Yeah.
The arms keep getting shakier.
Yeah. And then it was around the Adam LZ time when he gave us the shout out, and the subscribers just fucking rocketed up there. And then we were almost like getting giddy of ourselves. We were releasing vlogs every day. Everything was going good. We're doubling views than we've ever done before. And we're like, this is it. This is the curve that we're just going to go to the next level. And then it just smacks you right down again. It's like, and then we're back to 4 years ago. And it's like, because sometimes like we give it our all. Like, it really, like, we mentally drain ourselves from like, when we're doing sometimes 3-4 weeks, working weekends, late nights, pushing ourselves, driving here, there and everywhere, all the stuff that doesn't get seen on YouTube. And it really does take its toll just to kind of, to look back and see at the time we went nowhere in 4 years. It is a struggle. But obviously that video turned us around, so we're fine now. Yeah,
but to put a bit of perspective on it, like I think even when we met Adam LZ at Drift Week, like he was like, oh, I'm stuck in the mud, I'm stuck here, I'm stuck there. I'm like, he wants to get to the next level. It doesn't matter where you are, because there's someone half the channel of us are sitting there going, I want to be where Drift Games are, and then where Drift Games are going, I want to be where Adam LZ is, and he's looking ahead. Like, everybody wants to, you always want to be better and better.
And I think that the one thing that people, I would say, I have 3 pieces of advice, very short pieces of advice on mental health that I've learned over the years. One is, social media can be a really bad thing.
It's terrible. In many ways, I will say it. I hate social media because it's a complete false perspective, and I don't hate it so much myself, because I understand that the smoke and mirrors behind everything. Like, you're not gonna say when times are bad, really. You only say the good times and stuff. And I think for kids, I think it's, you only see the best. Like, you're watching the James Deans and everyone like that, and there's barely any in between sort of thing. And I think that's why it's kind of good for us to show, I am the novelty guy with the drifting sort of thing. I'm open to sort of say I'm the learner. Not many people do that because they're embarrassed, because they won't, unless they're really good at something, they won't show it.
No, it's weird, because I saw the comments come in on some things recently, and I was thinking, what a mad way to think. So obviously, I think what happens with social media is everybody's out there saying, I am killing it. Everything I wear, perfect. Never have a bad day. You wouldn't believe how interesting and successful I am all day, every day. And never once have I not been interesting or successful, because you don't see it. And I think what happens there is people start playing the character of that, as in, like, there's one character of them as the public persona, and it gets very far away from the real person behind it, who's probably lonely. But nobody's asking them to, to reach out to them because they're just killing it so much. They're just being unbelievable. And I think that happens across the board. We're not, we do it too. We say everything's great all the time.
Don't get us wrong. When we're in the office having these arguments about when times are rubbish, we're not going on Instagram. Views are shit, guys. We're feeling really down about ourselves. We're where we were 4 years ago.
And the perfect example would be like our trips to the Middle East. Like if you looked at Instagram and Facebook, it's unbelievable. It's the best cars, the best weather. You don't see the 14 hours painting the track. You don't see where this doesn't work out. Or
something going wrong, can't get something.
But I think that part of us, we go, that's our job, right? So we don't want other people to go through our job with us the bad times. But I think if
that's not to be shared on social media. No. Like no one wants to see us painting a track.
And always, as good as everything seems, it's never. No matter who you see on social media, I think it's a very good example. Is that if imagine you got everything you ever wanted in your life, you became a billionaire, and you were the most famous person in the world, and then you had everything you ever wanted in your life. And then you decided to have a Twitter war every day publicly with a random comedian who's going out with your ex-wife. Then that proves that even if you achieved more than any human has achieved, you'll still be miserable, you'll still be giving out, you'll still be not happy. So don't worry so much about everybody else being happy. Be happy yourself or what you're doing. That would be my first advice, is that social media is not real. And if you're posting out there and you're trying to keep up with the Joneses by putting all this stuff out to say you're killing it, realize that you're competing with everybody else doing exactly the same thing. So everybody is sort of lying a little bit on social media, which is everyone's put the best foot forward.
I think social media is a very happy place to be. You share your good moments, you see everyone's good moments. It's not there's a lot of stuff behind sometimes.
But a guy said, we did the Dubai shoot, and a guy was like, where would you see this? It's something I said, and the guy goes, in the Adam LZ compound, as if like, I watch Adam LZ, there's no point in watching any other human on the planet. He's the best at it, and you only watch the best. You never watch anything but the best. James Dean's the best driver. I'm only watching James Dean. Why would I watch anyone else drive ever? Like that level of best leaves out the reality of the human, because who's coming after these guys? Who's coming after James Dean? Who's like, everyone's just concentrating on the one thing. But there's going to be a cycle here where somebody becomes better than Adam LZ or James Dean or whoever down the line. And it's nice to watch a journey too, not just the completed journey. The same time, my second point is that on social media, don't be worried if people don't agree with you or don't like you. It's a weird world where everyone is almost can't accept somebody disagreeing with them or not liking them, which is in itself impossible.
I found that a big part of when I started coming into the videos the first, and like as I said, there'd be 100 good comments, be like 2 or 3 bad comments. My God, they'd wreck your head.
They do sometimes. Like
they'd stick with you, and you'd go, why do you say that, or what did you like? The bad ones really outweigh the good ones, and like even numbers wise, it's really
for sure. And I found that, I would say, I mean, I'm not going to be one to say I've struggled with mental health, but I definitely was very, very down towards the end of the Irish Drift Championship series, because we got to a point where I was going, I'm trying to keep everybody happy so much, and then what I realised towards the end of it is, it doesn't matter if everybody's happy or not.
But the funny thing where that brings us into what we're saying with, there was so much behind what wasn't said that was getting you down in that particular situation that it's almost like you had so much on your shoulders, and to you everything was fine from the outside, but in reality you were getting it from here, there, everywhere. There was people slating you, people saying that you were a millionaire, this, that, and everything. And it was so...
I'm a billionaire.
Oh, sorry, billionaire.
Confirmed.
We've got another shed just up for all of his money. It's getting ridiculous now. Yeah. But it's kind of like there's so many false perspectives out there of what you're actually doing.
But I think false perspectives are normal. Like,
it is.
People have assumptions of people they don't know.
They can tear someone down.
Someone will. I mean, we live in a world where a person who is unemployed and has never left their house for 3 years can go online and say to Kanye West, "Do you know what you should do?" And think they are perfectly within their right to tell one of the most successful people in the world of all time what they think when they've achieved nothing. And that's the world we live in, because everyone has a voice. I always say the worst thing that ever happened to social media generation is that the phrase, everyone's entitled to their opinion. I do not agree with that. I think you have to earn an opinion of having some level of knowledge of what you're talking about. I'm not going to walk in to, a theatre where someone's doing brain surgery and go, well, I'm entitled to my opinion here. I'm like,
well, no, I would argue and say everyone's entitled to an opinion.
No, but
it doesn't mean everyone's opinion is right.
No.
An opinion can be wrong.
Is public. Like a public opinion, which is something that the 70s, 60s, 50s never had to deal with, Now it's public. So even if I haven't thought about something that much and I want to post it, I can, and everybody can, and bring everyone down or whatever they want to do. But back in the day, you would have to have some notoriety to be able to stand on a platform to say, I have an opinion on this.
Sorry, I get you. To be that person, to be able to...
You would have to do some research. You would have to be somewhat important to have your opinion
like
heard by
back in the
lots
day,
of
you
people.
had to find Kanye West and you had to say your opinion to him.
And
Whereas
at that point,
now...
it's not public, right? But now people can have opinions on things. So I think a lot of people hunt this complete, like we said it before, you hunt this goal of everybody liking what you do, everyone loves what you do, everyone's a fan of yours, and after a while, the older you get, especially in my position, you realize that's not possible. People will dislike me, people will like me, people will agree with me, people will disagree with me, and that's fine, that's life, and it's not a bad thing. Because it means that
funny enough,
the majority of celebrities, politicians, and famous people in the world are the most divisive people on the planet. Because they're famous. The more people know them, the more people assume they're this or that or the other. And you've often heard it. You know, we've met people that we might have, I'm definitely not going to name names, but we would have an assumption of their personality from what we've seen online or what we've seen.
Absolutely.
And you'd meet them and go, they're the nicest person I've ever met. And that showed us that people are looking at us exactly the same way. So that's my second thing. And my third thing is goals. I don't think enough people have goals. And I think goals are a big part of not getting yourself too stressed out. If you've got something you're aiming for, and you're obsessed with that and you're doing it in every minute of your spare time, it's the best distraction from everything else if you've got a goal, I think. I think one thing that I love about this job, more than the cars and the travel and all, which is great, and don't get me wrong, very fortunate, is that there's always something ahead of you that you're aiming for. And you're not treading water. You're not going like, right, this week I did XYZ, and then next week I'm going to do the exact same XYZ again. Because after about 4 weeks of that, you'd sort of lose the motivation for any of it. Whereas we always say we never look back, which is true. We've no time. But that looking forward, I think, helps your mental health to go, I'm always aiming for something. Like, you know what I mean?
We
It's
rarely
like,
have time to think about something.
and I think thinking can be bad for you if you have too much time to do it.
Somewhat. And in goals, always put the goal towards yourself. Don't do it to please anybody else.
No.
Because if you do, you've already lost.
You've lost already, and again, that person or thing is never going to be as appreciative as... I mean, like I say it's a small goal, and you say, within 6 months I want to, buy a certain type of car. And then what a lot of people do is say, and I've heard this from a lot of Irish people, is, oh, one day I'm going to have this, or someday I'm going to have this, or I'm going to do this down the line. And you're going, but you have absolutely no plan of how you're going to get there. And what I think about it is, even if the plan of getting there is outlandish, I'm going to start a strawberry farm and buy a G-Wagon, at least you've put something down to say I can get there. Because if your whole life is, I don't have what I want, I'm going to try and win the lottery, and then I'm going to get what I want, it's a hard life to live, because you know you're kind of fooling yourself. So I'd always say, social media is not real. Don't take it as real. If you are feeling bad and you are putting out posts that says, I'm killing it, believe everyone else is doing the exact same thing, so they're all feeling the same. Number two, I would say definitely have... what was the number two thing I said? Oh, don't worry if people dislike you, because somebody will.
There's always going to be
There's always going to be somebody. Even like we've met the nicest people in the world, and then you'll hear someone go, "Oh, I don't like them." And you're like, "How?" But it happens. It's a clash of personalities. And number three is have a goal.
Yeah.
So those three things should keep you. It keeps me sane.
Yeah. And it is absolutely fine to worry about, like, not even worry or even think or be down mentally. It is like the last 2 years have been horrific, and even before that it's been horrific. Everybody struggles with it, so it's absolutely fine to be alright.
And we've all been we've had doomsday meetings, we've had the company going under, back up again, like this,
emotional roller coaster.
We've had an emotional roller coaster and a lot of dark days. But what I found about it is that those three things, especially the goals thing, setting yourself a goal, even if it's a small goal, just gives you motivation to get through that week or that month or that 6 months, and then you find yourself crawling back out of it. So that's a little bit of advice for me, but we'll move on from that point to something we also got asked a lot about, which is career in cars, right? Which is always something I get asked a lot. How do I get a job in cars? How do I get into this? How do I get into that? And a lot of people are confused about,
Then you lay the six of us out on a table and look at everything, how the route's in. You go, there's no route in.
No, and people ask me, like, how did you hire this guy and that guy and whatever? I'm like, I don't even know how that happened.
I always find it funny in university. I actually did a piece on how to get into it, and I failed that piece. And I did exactly what I did to get into cars, and they failed me. So I'm not sure there actually is a right way to do this.
There's no right way. There's no wrong way. What I would say is, you guys have a good story on this. Probably on before that, but like you guys were, you knew you liked cars, and you were into them. There's a big difference, and this is what I'm going to ask you guys, because I was probably the same, but I'd like to hear your opinions on it. That you've gone from, I like cars, I have a car. I could go watch the show. I could go just enjoy the car show or go to wherever the event is. But I've decided I want to go and cover it or be involved, more importantly. Like, let's stay away from just specific videography or photography, but you wanted to be involved, and you also didn't want a whole lot of money for it, even though there's a lot of time and effort into what you were doing. So did you go in with the impression of like, I'm starting at the bottom and working my way up? Did you go in because you liked it just as a hobby and for a bit of experience? What was your thoughts on it, Adam? Because you came in from drifted.com, right, originally?
So like literally spiraled out of control. Because when I was 16, maybe 17, it was Cool Nights, the car show in Swords. I went to and actually seen Eric O'Sullivan from Club Loose. And kind of got into drifting that way, and I was like, I'll go to a track day. I want to do it. Again, I was into photography at that point. I started going to track days, taking photos and sharing my photos out. Then started going to the Irish Drift Championship, sharing my photos out. Then got picked up by drifted.com, writing articles, photos for them. And then it was only kind of through that, I covered a good couple of years for Drifted. Then
let me go to this point. Were you paid at any point for this?
No, absolutely not.
So even when drifted.com, you were still...
I lost. Like I spent all my money traveling down. I remember still working part-time and taking time off from work to go to events, just to cover the events.
So how long were you in the car game doing photography without being paid? How long would you have done there?
This is going to bring me back to my mental health and depress me. 9 years.
So you did 9 years.
Well, I was like 16 till maybe 25, 26. Yeah, 9 years.
So you had done 9 years of taking photos, writing articles, traveling on your own money, and I will say taking very good photos, because that's obviously why you're here. But I would say that like you were well known for taking good photos, which I would have assumed drifted.com was giving you something for this content.
No, because I just enjoyed it. I enjoyed writing the articles, and it was a really high platform that I got to share my work on. Because it wasn't a paid gig, and that's why I don't resent that. It was more just, it was the biggest platform I could get on to share my work, to go more further places. There's no point back in the day, Facebook, you did get good engagement on photos, but you wanted to write the high. Like, you always aim to be Paddy McGrath, speed hunters, like writing the big articles and getting the big reads and stuff. That's what you push towards.
9 years.
Yeah.
And you didn't do as long as 9 years now.
I did a day.
Here's the two ends of the spectrum.
Right. Yeah.
But you came from college and you approached Jap Speed.
No.
No.
I had an interest in cars. I was a completely different interest. I didn't know shit about Japanese cars. I didn't know what drifting was.
And what has changed in these?
Not much. But I was making my show reel to try and get into college, and I stumbled upon. I was like, besides into cars, and I was watching some motorsport stuff and everything like that. And obviously, I went through touring cars and stuff. And then I came across a drifting video, and I was like, because obviously drifting is like the biggest spectacle for photography and video and everything like that. I was like, that looks cool. So at this point, I knew nobody. I didn't know like how to get into it. So I was messaging like Silverstone and stuff like that. I had no idea. I just plastered out like 100 emails, and half of them came back to me saying, what on earth are you on about? Like, we're a race circuit. How would we know how to get into this? So I thought nothing of it.
Junk mail from Josh Holdsworth.
I thought nothing of it. I was like, right.
Hi, Manchester United. I want to play football.
Oh, and
is this Steve Jobs at Apple? Do you know where the drifting is?
Yeah, they wanted public. Sorry, I got some practice days got back to me, and they wanted public liability insurance. And again, I was like, that's like car insurance. That's gonna be thousands. So little did I know it's like 60 quid.
Yeah.
And then I was kind of shot. I was going to car meets, and I was kind of going there shooting a bit of car meets and stuff. And then nothing came of that. Even though I think that was one of my highest viewed videos only recently. I think it was like 500,000 on like one of my first few. Anyways, randomly got a message back from Jap Speed out the complete blue, and they said they've got a test day coming up, and would I be interested in going there? And still, no idea what drifting was, how it worked. I think I still thought it was some sort of a race at that point. I didn't know there was two cars involved. I thought they all just went on track and had like a drifting race or something. Anyways,
this is 2021 at this stage when you figured this out.
6 months ago.
Yeah.
Okay, continue.
And I think I was kind of hooked since. They put me in the passenger seat. They treated me really well. They treated me like a king there, like putting me in all the cars and everything, letting me shoot whatever. And again, like Paul McCallum was my boss, and he's the owner of Jap Speed, and he gave a bit of guidance, but he just kind of said, I was like, what do you want me to do in this? And again, I had no idea. There was only one other person really making montages and stuff. Montages weren't even really a thing then. It was more like...
Was that Stephen Brooks?
Stephen Brooks.
So Stephen Brooks, for most of you who don't know, back in the day, British Drift Championship, highly accomplished videographer, probably made drifting cool before anyone else.
He was probably the first person, from what I can look back at, that really made the cool montages. Before there was live streams or TV coverage or anything, it just were you in the championship at the time, weren't you? Or your brother was, or someone, and you would wait it took me a month to make this montage.
Oh yeah. Well, you'd wait for that video, like,
to see if you were in it.
For people in drifting now, there was no fast content. I think this is very hard for people less to talk about. But what happened was you go to an event, and absolutely nothing would come out of that event. For about 3-4 days, you'd start to see the photos trickling out. You might get 5 for the whole weekend. And then about 2 weeks, that's how long it took, or 2 or 3 weeks, you'd see a video from the event, whether it was good or it's bad.
And you might even be in it.
And you might even be in it. You might get a shot. And you go, wow, brilliant. Well worth me going. But the thing is, I know that I'm not trying to go too far down the history road with you, but I'm talking about careers for people. And look at the 2 different paths there.
But that's what I mean. Like, there's no way.
There's no way of knowing.
Like, I sent out random emails I didn't even know which direction I was going. And it just so happened that one twigged, and you get, I think what it comes back to is, and this is what I always say, it's how I got the job with you. Any opportunity that you get, whether it be free or for a paid gig, or for if someone asks for a hand or support or whatever it may be, you never know where that could get you.
Yeah.
And I think that's how, like, again, to fast forward a lot of years, I did one event I came to Ireland once. I made one Jet Speed video. They did bad, so I made an event video. And then I was on your radar, and it just so happened you were in Dubai and needed a videographer. I was 4th choice.
3rd choice, I'll give you
3rd
credit.
choice.
2nd, Josh.
But
3rd choice.
Go on.
But then
call
again,
them out. Who was 1 and 2?
Another guy called Josh.
Another guy called Josh, who just made the James Dean
Josh
documentary. The James Dean documentary. And then who was first?
Lovely fella. You should have taken him.
Yeah, he was a lot sounder. He was a lot sounder than Josh, actually. Well, he was also a Josh. And then who else was it? I think it was Lucas, Bandana Boy, who ended up working for me a long time down the road.
Yeah.
But it was
Banana Boy.
Banana Boy. But it's weird how it circles.
But the thing is, what I find
I
funny,
worked with Josh Allen, actually, who I didn't end up buying my drift car off me. And then obviously we've talked a lot in the past with him about different things. And then obviously we hired you, and then Lucas.
But then again, like they were both in different like areas. Like Josh was settled in London, he had a good job. Lucas was probably still what he's doing now, fluting around everywhere, working with God knows who.
Doing bits. But like even on...
But that's what I mean. Like I was in the chance where I said, like, I was making all right money back home with all Jap Speed and all the other jobs that I was doing and everything. But I was like, you don't get the chance every day to go to Dubai. So I think, what did you give me? 2 days?
I think it was 2
hours?
days. I know. I do remember the conversation when I hung up going, he's coming next Wednesday. And I was like, he didn't ask me how much he's getting paid. He didn't ask me how many hours he's doing. But I was the same, because I would have agreed. And I was in Dubai at that time on the same premise going, yeah, I'll do it. And then I would get there and go, where am I staying?
But
what
sometimes money isn't the thing. Like I've done some of the best jobs and had the best experiences. Like again, yes, after my test day with Jap Speed, I did start getting paid for them. Not a lot. Barely covered sometimes expenses going up there if you went on the beer the night before or something like that. All your money would be gone and you'd be technically doing it for free. But then again, from the age of, I would say, when was it, 19 to about 21, like some of the best stories of my life came from then. That you couldn't even buy those experiences.
But I think
like hanging out with Shane Lynch and going partying with all those guys, going to Barbados, Germany and this and that. It's like, you're getting those experiences at the same time, and it gets you to where you want to be.
And I think that's the thing where we bring it back to last week's conversation about the TikTok culture and everything happening fast. I don't know if people have the patience to wait 9 years of doing something like Adam for free.
But you've got to love it.
But like, I absolutely, and I still do, absolutely loved it.
Yeah.
And that's
but at the same time, you didn't do it. You did it to do it as best as you could do. You didn't do it for the sole reason of, I'm going to get money out of this and I'm going to do this. You just did it because of passion. I think with drifting, I went way overboard, especially running the Irish Drift Championship, on a passionate thing. If you were to go for money, you wouldn't have done half the things. I wouldn't have started if it was for money, because
I remember
there's easier ways.
One time when you're bringing all the FD drivers over, and I think you had a fairly stacked grid. And then I was living with you at the time, and I think I went out to the shops or something and came back. And you're like, I've just booked Ryan Turk. I was like, why have you booked Ryan Turk? It's like, I just think we need another person. It's like, didn't need another person. You had Daigo Saito, Robbie Nishida, God knows how many other people.
No, but for me, it was...
And then you booked someone else. Like, you wouldn't have done that because you said, I'd have just kept the money.
Yeah, but it was about legacy. It was about me making a statement. It was about doing something that no one had done, and that was very important to me at the time. Still is. Like, the money, I think an Irish perspective, and I know a lot of Irish people listen to this, obsessed with money. Who has it? Who doesn't have it? What are they getting? How much have I got? How much am I getting for this? Giving out about it. if you're talented at something and you work really, really hard, money is a byproduct of that. And that's the thing I always say to people. People go, money. I was like, money. I get money because I work really hard, I work cleverly, and I work harder than anyone. If I put my hours down, they would go, I don't want your PS13 if that's the hours you're working. But I love what I do, so I don't. It's like it molds.
But it's
into
also the same thing of saying like, none of us technically have money.
None.
Because we put the money, like, again, like, it's not as if like it's building up in the bank. It just gets, like yourself, it gets put into those cars behind you. Like, anyone into cars, if you're actually in it for the real reasons, never has any money. It's like what people say, to be a millionaire in drifting, you have to be a billionaire.
It's
like,
perfect.
you're not going to make
Perfect
it because,
example,
like, if you, like, again, you always, it's motorsport or whatever it is, you're always hunting for the next best thing, to make something better. And unfortunately in motorsport, it's always money.
And I think the crazy thing, I was explaining this to somebody at the last bash, which I was trying to put a swing on it, because I do understand it looks mad that we buy all these cars, and obviously these are for a reason, and there's obviously money saved up and a lot of hours work to get them, and hard work, and also, you know, we don't just, there's a little bit of sense to the business we do. It's not just mad spending all the time. However, I said to someone that was like, well, think about it, right? Everything I've spent in the last 4 years, everything I've spent, you know what I've spent, because I show it to you on YouTube videos. But think about it. I made it to spend it. If I hadn't have made a YouTube channel and I just had the money in my bank account, you would never know I had that money, and you would think I was one way different than that. So if I had all the money, which I have none of it now, it's sitting there behind me.
You can see the money.
Like, I
That's
literally
your
see
wallet.
the waste of money behind me. And I can go, I know how much money I've spent on all these cars, but that's it. Like, that's a lot of, that's pretty much 95% of the money I've ever had has gone into cars for 17 years.
Like when it gets to the end of the month, you're like, oh, I'm well in the overdraft.
I went into the overdraft yesterday. We're not even halfway through the month, to buy wheel nuts and 2 spacers for a car.
And,
I'm
we
going,
and we go to the Middle East in 2 days.
yeah, but I'm like, we go there and we don't flash it about
Going
too
into my
much.
category now. We've
I'm going
both
to
got
Josh.
no money.
Yeah, me and Josh get like pretty broke pretty fast.
Josh, when we went to Drift Week, how much money was in your bank account?
Was it €1.97?
No, that was the Middle East. You went with €90 to America.
Oh, 90 euros, sorry.
€90 to America and €1.97 to the Middle East. We
East
got
2 weeks
paid
ago.
2 days into the Middle East, to be fair. But
Drift Week was the start. Or like it was the start.
I had to make a video for someone at
he did. He actually bought himself out of problems. He made a side hustle video to get himself a few quid.
And then
to
thought
keep-
he was balling when he made like 100 quid.
and then he went out and spent it all on alcohol. Remember that?
Yeah, and then paid for like 50 games of pool, and then it was all gone again.
So I'm
That's
like,
back to one.
we might seem like we make. Look, I think we do okay money wise sometimes we don't. Based on a blind faith, based on a lot of work, like a lot of time, a lot of effort. I mean, people go, like, we do not finish work. People say to me like things like, oh, when are you off work? I'm like, off work?
It was
It doesn't happen.
It was Cian Leonard's wedding Friday.
Yep.
He responded to my annual leave request the morning of his wedding.
Yep.
Like
I was into my probably 5th or 6th drink of the night doing the social media releases for Friday's video.
Yeah.
Outside in the gardens on my own, just doing all the social media releases.
And I was
Because
saying-
you have to.
And I said it in my wedding speech, actually. It was like 12 hours after I got engaged, I was on a plane to the Middle East, and 20 hours after I got the keys to my first house, I was on a plane to Germany. Like, you don't have switch off times.
No, but it's like, as I said, you know, like I say to a lot of people, it's like, you know, like traveling is, we are very fortunate to do what we do, but there's a consequence of that, which is it's a lot of work, a lot of time. I think I'm in for 39 actually more, 40 something weekends maybe. The next time I will do every single weekend probably, and most, not that I'm complaining because I enjoy where I'm going, but like probably November is the first time I'll look at going, I might get a week off in November or December. Actually no, because I've just realised that the calendar, I put it together, we can see it tomorrow.
We put the calendar.
Oh no, it would be yesterday. The calendar came out yesterday.
Me and
and
Josh
I was like,
looked
oh,
at
I'll
the
take it. No.
Yeah, the two of us looked at the calendar first, but holy crap.
I think that's something I'm definitely still trying to deal with, is like balancing life around like schedule. And
For sure.
It's such a tough one because like you're having great fun and you're doing stuff with cars and everything like that. And then like for me this year, weddings are stressing me out. Like, how do you fit? Like, I realize between weddings and work, I don't think we get a day off.
No, but think about it. Like, people will watch this and go, we would say, right, we're going to put a podcast out on a Wednesday. We're going to put a one shot out on a Sunday. And outside of that, we're probably going to do 3 videos. So that's 5 pieces of content a week. On top of Drift Masters and all the other stuff that we do. And Josh, if he goes away for a week, how does that happen?
Right.
So now Josh, and we've had this before, we'll try and do 10 pieces of content in 8-9 days to cover his time away, which is like 20 hours a day for 10 days before the holiday. Well earned holiday by that stage. But then even at that,
You need the holiday. After
even when you're on holiday, you're still checking in on the views. You're still answering the comments.
I always say
you're
it's
still
the
doing
most
the social.
addictive job. Well, it's
an obsession.
I think it's really the only job other than my first ever job that I've ever had, and it is an obsession. Like, as much as you turn off mentally, and like I'm trying to learn how to turn off mentally just for a little bit.
I can't.
But then you're still checking your phone, and you're still there, like, and then you get the buzz of like, oh, that's doing well, and like, oh, I wonder if I chuck this at if it.
I would say 95% of my brain power in life goes into this job.
It's on.
Yeah.
All the time.
On. And I would say, because I do a lot of my work from 10 p.m. to 2 a.m. because it's everybody stopped ringing me, talking to me, sending me messages. You'd be surprised though at that stage, but I'd be like, I can get 4 hours in here where I can think about not just what I've had to do today, but what I need to do in the future. Because as Adam will say, I always say our job is very much what people see is very much what you do, Josh. The actual machine of how it runs every day is very much Adam, and I'm in the future. I live in the future, always 3, 4 weeks, 6 months ahead of where we are, because we don't just get to the end of the week and go, well, we've no more cars, we've no more projects, we've no more events. We have to put out this content for our great partners and all the people who support us. So I'm having conversations about the 4th of December today, and it's March, right? And I'm going, that's where I am. So I say, at that point, we'll be doing this, then we'll move to this, and we're going through our holidays, and I'm going, Josh, you're gone for that day, so I need someone that. And that's how mental it is to people. People think we wake up and go, just go to the shed, see what happens. But when all this stuff lands here, a lot of this stuff is ordered like 2-3 months ago. We know that sometimes the cars are bought after the project or the parts are bought. And then we know that we have a budget on that stuff and it can't go above it. And then sometimes we know some of the cars will stay or sell, or that's part of a plan in August, September. So people don't realize, but you to be constantly thinking ahead of yourself. I find that bizarre, because when people talk to me about stuff in the past that's happened, I've already erased it to go so far into the future.
But even sometimes I find when we're in the office and I'm editing I live very much in the now, and when I'm making a video, it's very much in the moment of that, and then I'm working on that, and then it goes out, and then working on the next thing, sort of thing. I find it hard to look ahead, because after you film something, I still have to spend however many hours still looking at that sort of thing. But it is very much. I've lost my train of thought there, to be fair.
No, what you're saying
That's
is
the first time I think that's happened on this podcast. We're only 2 episodes in.
roll it back into the station, son.
Not
But no,
first time in life.
sorry, back to my point. You are very much like, that's happened and it's irrelevant to you.
Yep.
And you're thinking of the next thing.
I am an eraser. Like, as in, the minute an event, say you get to an end of a Drift Masters Sunday, podium's done, event's over. Everything that's happened for those 3 days before that, gone out of my head, gone. I'm on to Monday. I'm on to Tuesday. I'm on to the
I'm
next
still
Wednesday.
living in those 3 days.
You're still in those,
for
because
the
you're
next
watching
week.
that footage for the next week, living that event over and over again through the footage.
Yeah.
I'm gone from it. I'm already on the next
Yeah.
thing. And then Adam, I always say, is very much like, you're very much in the now of what people see. I'm very much in the future, and you're sort of in the middle ground, a little bit ahead, maybe a week ahead, trying to get things sorted. And that works really well as a partnership between the three of us to keep that moving. But it is so constant. Like, I find sometimes that, because I think about it, like in the last 4 years, most of the ideas have come from a collaborative effort from us. But just to do our job for 8 hours or 10 hours or 12 hours, 15 hours a day, to have enough time just to do it, and then have to think about all the other things about how to make it better in the future or change things. Like me and Josh, I'll say, you might watch this podcast and go, oh, that's a cool intro with the little tape going in. How long did that take you to do?
But that took a fair while to make.
How long would you say in total just to make that 5-second intro?
To make that intro, that was 2 hours?
Yeah,
Was it
2
3
hours probably. But no one even think about it. It's just tape going in, whatever.
Actually, no, it was longer, because the worst thing was, the podcast was going out on a Wednesday, and then I was figuring it out on the Tuesday. That's where the real, like, sometimes, like, if I was to make it again, I could make it in less than an hour probably. But it's the figuring out it's the stressful bit, it's the creative bit, it's the trying 20 things. Like, you may have been however many things before that to actually get to that bit. So you may have done 20 times the work to get there, but you only see the end result.
But I think what the whole point, to bring our whole conclusion of this around again, is that you're not going to get a job in something unusual or passion-based unless you're willing to do a lot for free, do a lot of favors, and take a lot of chances,
and invest the time.
And invest a lot of time.
I think if you always look at the people you inspire to, like Stephen Brooks or Paddy McGrath or someone like that, like
Hulk Hogan. Yeah.
Hulk Hogan.
Yeah.
Like,
Three very similar
people. Vince McMahon would never have just rung and said, right, main stage Saturday night, you're taking down The Rock, or whoever was his time. I don't know.
He's been through all the time, Josh. He's there since the start of it.
But you're never going to, like, it's like Paddy McGrath, Stephen Brooks, like, they will have all had the same stories as us. They would have had an in.
Slog the
and
hours out.
You've got to prove yourself. Like, if you want to be up there at the top, like, you're not just going to be offered. Like, say if someone was to take my job, they'd have to fight for it. They'd have to prove themselves. They'd have to work their arse off and everything like that. And I think that's kind of it. Like,
and I think that's what I wanted to bring it down to at the end of it, is to say, we know that at some point down the line, younger people will come through eventually, next generation. They will replace what we do. And that's great. So what we do in these episodes is we try and inspire where that's going. That has a bit of substance. That we've obviously tried to have a bit of substance with what we do. Long time, 9 years, like probably how long are you doing videography now and drifting? Like, must be 10 years?
10 years.
Probably 10 years?
10, 12.
I'm probably 10 years now doing events and doing this stuff. So I'm like, that's a long time. And I would only say, I think even now we go into the office and go, we are rubbish at this. We don't know what we're doing. We're crap all the time. And we're 10 years in.
We're the biggest critics of ourselves.
Absolutely. Because I always say to someone, you can slag drift games all you want. You will never come close to how much we absolutely decimate the results in the office all the time. But even regardless of that, if you want to, I think a lot of people look at the finish line and they say, I want to be like Josh. I want to drift cars. I want to travel around the world and whatever. Spend a week with him on what he does. And we've seen this happen before. People have come in and, said, oh, drift games, that's my dream job. I'm going, you don't know what the job is. You come in after a week to like, oh, screw this. This is insane. Like, like Josh hasn't slept in 3 days and I'm tired watching him. So, like, that's the reality of this stuff that we have to go through.
It's like, speak to me on the Sunday night of Drift Masters Round 1 after setting up in Mondello for how many weeks?
I would say you'd be in coppers talking.
But,
You'd be talking about coppers.
But before I'd be a puddle on the ground before I even get there.
And the stress, and obviously remembering that if anything goes wrong, it's on you.
Yeah.
It's all on you. Everyone says to me, oh, how do you find going back driving, drifting? I was like, it's the easiest thing in the world.
Great.
Easiest thing in the world.
I'm not
you
even
go out
joking.
and you drive and you do crap and people go, all right.
When you said, let's go to BDC and we'll just set up the shop, and you go, this is great. This is easy. I set up in 10 minutes.
But you also have to think, and I think this, when we're at BDC weekends, we're still technically, like, I will say, we don't have it as easy as other drivers. Like, we don't just turn up, drive the car. That really is a piece of piss. Like, we have to make sure we have content ready. We have to be here, there, everywhere. Sometimes we're missing practice to do a bit of a paddock walk because we realise we haven't got enough footage or anything like that. Like, I'm there on the track filming.
But if the camera doesn't work, I don't go to the track.
Yeah.
So, like, you wait until the cameras work.
Absolutely. And then sometimes I'm micing myself up. Practice is there. Wayne's saying get out and track and stuff. But I'm only there because we're filming. So, like, it is like...
Well, we would see that as a job. Like, I mean,
it is a job.
I'll put it this way. Job is a very loose term, because I was watching an interview with Vince McMahon last week, and someone said to him, he's 70, he's 80 now.
Looks fantastic.
He does.
And he got some for a table only a few years ago.
And he's there saying, someone said to him, how are you still, like, he's one of the richest people ever or whatever. They said, how are you still working at nearly 80, like every day, all day? And he says, because I'm not working. He loves it. He says, it's not work. I just love what I do. So for us, when we say work or job, we mean that loosely. But I would say
it's actually very tough to say sometimes.
And I will say,
when you're lining up on a BDC grid or whatever championship, or even a practice day in your car, and you kind of have to say, I'm at work right now.
Well,
it's a very bizarre thing to actually think of. This is your job. But
that also means that you're not there on your money.
No.
You're there on other people's money.
Yeah.
Therefore, you have a responsibility. And
we have a job to do.
You cannot come home from that event without X, Y, and Z done.
Absolutely not.
So that's the difference. And don't get me wrong, we love that. We like that challenge.
That's where I have the difference to you two guys. Because I'm not saying you have never worked a normal job.
But I've never worked a normal job.
I did for a year.
I worked in a clothes shop, I think, for a while.
But like, I worked a desk job, worked behind the screen, and you're like, when you've done that, you're just like, I'm just not going back.
Well, I think that's that to me. I'm not saying that I'm better than that or anyone is better than that.
No,
I'm just saying
absolutely not.
Absolutely not. What I'm saying is that they are the constructs, big word, that control your opinion of what's possible. And I've always said that a lot of people, I know a friend of ours said it to me and Josh before, going, like, the only way you can be the way you are is because you haven't worked normal jobs. Because they will take all of that imagination, creativity. Like, I'm just going to go do it. You can't just do it. You got to ask 17 people's permission to do it. You can't just go and do what you want when you want. And you can't decide, like Josh will. I think it's more efficient if I do it whatever way I want to do it. That's not the way those jobs work.
I used to, like, the job I used to work, like, it was on sales on the phone, and then moved off to a different place. But you'd be like, Adam, you logged out to the bathroom like 7 minutes over time for today, and I was like, well, like, you need to clock that back on your toilet breaks, and you're like,
I meant to actually bring that up with you today, Adam. You were a little bit longer than I would have liked now.
Went to the toilet for 25 minutes.
Josh jumped on his
No, but you see, do you know what I mean? If you're so motivated by your job that you like it, You don't need to be whipped.
I worked.
You know what I mean? You don't need to be whipped by it.
I worked because it was rotating hours, and I never worked 1 minute overtime. I would as soon
Literally waiting for
you
it.
waiting there, clock out, gone. Here it's
I've never worked 1 minute undertime, I think.
that's if you work.
Or if I do, I make up for it for
here,
5 hours
here,
working at home.
point.
Yeah, that's if they ask me to work 10, when you stay an extra 10 minutes after job, you literally.
Yeah, go get out of here. But I would say, and this is a truthful statement for me, is that a lot of people sum up what we do based on the cars and the stuff that we own, whatever.
But it brings us back to the Instagram thing. It's the things what they see.
It's what they see. It is so insignificant. I know this is going to sound so pretentious of me, but if I lost all those cars, the only thing I would be worried about is losing my job, because I love the job. And if I had no cars and I still had the job, I'd go, oh, sorry, I had the cars. That was fine. Now I don't. I don't care about investments or all that. These are fantastic things to have, very fortunate to have. I've worked to have them. But if I didn't have them, I wouldn't really. If I could still go travel, do events, have the crack, still hang out with you guys. I mean, they sit most of the time in the shed, so it's not like it would make much difference to my day to day. So I'm like, that's not my achievement. Because people say, oh, you have loads of cars. I'm like, that's not an achievement. My achievement is I like doing what I do every day. And because I like it, I do more hours at it. And those more hours turn into money and I buy the cars. So it's all part of that. And I think people need to make that decision that if they want to get into cars, it's a long road. A lot of people don't make it. And it's the same as any job that's like a footballer, or we're not even saying we make it because we could be bankrupt in a month. And every time we say
we're still trying to make it,
we're still trying to bankrupt ourselves as well. But I would say that a lot of
we teeter that line a lot.
Oh, I would say I'm a blind faith person, and Adam is a pure realist sometimes. Looking at me going, he's done it again. We're all going down the toilet, and Josh is sort of like, if I close my head, put my headphones on, maybe I can pretend none of this is happening. Right?
3 weeks ago in the Middle East buying those engines, you were like, I've got a plan. I'm buying these engines. I was like, you don't even have the money to do this.
But the thing is,
I got the money.
You got the thing is, you got it. But at the time, I was like,
Yeah.
I'm thinking it's like you haven't even. This isn't even on.
Oh, but I'm a complete believer on put yourself in the deep end and swim your way out.
But that's absolutely, and I think that's one of the things why we haven't sunk yet, is because some of the ideas that you have, people just say mental. Lots of people in the comments of the vlog said, "What are you doing? That's ridiculous. How can you do that?" But you work in a way of like, you're not afraid to jump into the deep end.
No.
And in your head, you'll be figuring out a few numbers of selling this or selling that and making up the here and there. Is it more beneficial? Will it save in the long run? And you very much see it as a year. Will that be a good investment for the year? Will I get my money back? Will I be able to pay for it within the year? Will it save me this much? And I think that not a lot of people think like that. They see a car and say, can I afford it now? No. Where you should be like, well, actually, if you've sold that and then this and that.
Also, I think a big thing that I like to live by is you never run as fast as when you're being chased.
Yeah.
So like if you're going out for a jog every evening, it's kind of like you can do it or not do it, right? I think a lot of people's lives are like that.
What are you saying if there's tiger chasing you?
Yeah, and my whole life, and the tiger is definitely the banks most of the time. But it's like if I'm being chased by, we're going to go under if we don't get this and get that, whatever. Like the panic, you dig deep, you get creative, you worry about it enough that you do something immediately, and you're not being kind of complacent. Whereas if we were kind of, I always say, probably the worst thing that could happen to us is that we did very well and we got complacent and we got very comfortable and everything was just tipping along. And we had that a couple of times over the 10 years.
I think we do have that sometimes.
Sometimes we float along and then we go, do you know what, this is going rubbish, and we have a wake-up call, and then we all get freaked out that the company's going under in 3 months, and then we go, right, let's go. And then you get your compounds and your drift weeks and your game changers.
Dave.
Yeah, but I'm always like you. People say, "Oh, you're going to do this." I'm like, "Yeah, but what do we do after that? We don't. I have no idea what next January looks like." But I'm going like, I have to figure that out in October. But if I don't figure it out by the end of October, we're screwed. So a lot of that stuff, even the compound, which I wanted to update a little people on, is like, it's again another idea where it makes no financial sense for me to build a compound in a country where the car community's number one gripe is they don't have money. You know what I mean? Like that's literally if you build a racetrack in England and you go, see all these guys with all these McLarens and all these Ferraris, that's who I'm going to make money off. You say, no, screw the guys with the Ferraris and McLarens. I want the guys that can't afford to tax their cars. They're my customers, right? So that makes no sense. Building a compound makes no sense in Ireland. None. But if we build one, you're surely going to have to make sense of it at that point or you're going to lose the company. So I'm going, if I would, it's a dream come true for me to have something like that, to have an identity in a place where I can bring people and chat, have my cars there. You know, make, as we said, a lot of stuff in this podcast, make a place where people can come and hang out, make new friends. Good fun making new friends. Talking cars is a big part of what I love in life, you know, chatting about project stuff, but bring it somewhere that people can chill and relax and have a good time. Also make it look good, like feel good, like have a good time. I don't even know how this is going to work. I don't even have a financial plan for that compound, and I'm already going to planning.
After this many years, I don't like. We don't even fight on these ideas because like even the biggest like after smart games changers coming in like the start of COVID, what we're going to do? We're going to take a massive loan and build the cars.
We're down a lot of money. What we should do? Get a lot of money.
Get more money. Yeah.
Spend it on something we're not going to sell.
Yeah.
And everyone went, oh, okay.
Yeah.
And then I was like, well, we're going to have to pay off these. And we don't get me wrong. People are like, oh,
the cars are behind.
The cars are behind us. We own them. They do ish work. We do have to pay them off for another 4 years, mind you. But I know Adam's face tells the story. But still, after 4 years, after 5 years in total, we will own those cars. And I think we'll make it work. And then at that stage, you can go, wow, we went in the worst probably time ever to do it. We made it work. And I'm at compound now. I'm like, yeah, maybe that's the thing to do. Like, look at all the ideas we've had in the past. I think it's just determination that makes them happen. And I think that's the difference between what we did in the past and what people try and do now is the determination that if this fails, I have no job. My life is over. Unless it's a bit like the Batman film, the Batman Dark Rise. You know, when the kid...
Oh, you like this quote.
I like this quote because, you know, they say, like, he's trying to get out of that, is it the prison? And he keeps failing because he's got the rope. And then he goes, how did the kid get out? And the man goes, because he didn't have rope. And I'm going, that's our company. Like, we jump and go, if we don't catch that ledge, you won't listen to this podcast. This podcast doesn't exist. This garage doesn't exist. These cars don't exist. And we're always about 2 weeks away from that. Or 3 or 4. Even though we're planning, a disaster can happen. They could ban this. They could change drifting doesn't happen anymore. They could, anything. We've had COVID situations, war situations. Everything can change in a heartbeat. But if you're willing to go, I'll survive at all costs, you will. And I think because we're a good bunch of mates and we have a good time doing it, and we try and make the lightheartedness of it most of the time, even if it's absolutely a disaster.
Even when it's tough.
We laugh a lot of the time when it's like, this is a nightmare. But I think that's a good thing. So from a career perspective, we've been weathered through that whole, like, say, 10 years or whatever amount of time it has been. And I think if you want to get into cars, there's absolutely nothing anyone in this country can tell me that they can't do it. Because not one person on our team is a perfectly well-rounded individual that is the best in the world at what they do. But together, with enough determination, we can do it. But I'm not good at a lot of things, and everyone has their weaknesses, and everyone's, we all have our flaws. But I think, like, I'm not good. I run a car business. I can't change a wheel. I've never been that great a drifter.
Not allowed power tools.
Never ran a business before this. Started with 20 grand, and I never knew anything about drifting before the first time I commentated on it.
Hang on a second, you got a degree in sound and here you are on a podcast.
And you set it up.
Yeah.
So I'm saying that, like, I have no reason to be where I am. You did 9 years of taking photos for free and then worked in Sky and then you were drifting cars in America. No right to be there. You probably the most aloof person for most of your 10 years of your just floating along. Whatever happens. I won't even ask them how much you get paid. Just like a plastic bag in the wind of the drift world. But in the end, just kept blowing along until you got where you wanted. I think everyone's like that. And I think people at home think, oh, well, I can't do that because of this and that. Everyone can do it. If you have enough determination, you'll do it.
You have to be good.
Oh, you have to. No. But you can work on being good.
Absolutely. How for the best people, like photographers in career?
I can openly tell you, I was crap when I started, and I even running events, I was useless at it. I still remember running my first event, and it's just
if you have the right mentality, I think you can be pretty much good, or at least get by on anything.
Like, I can do Photoshop and Lightroom. I self-taught because I was annoyed that I couldn't get anyone to do it fast enough, so I just learned how to do it. As I said, we all learned what we needed to be a better person at what we do. So I think that's a big part of it. And I think, we talked about mental health on this one, which we don't want to gloss over. But I'm saying that, like, I think never be down on yourself by thinking, I can't do that because of, and stack up your excuses in front of you because it makes you feel good that you don't have to try. Because you're going, well, I'm not going to try because this is all that'll happen. I'm going, well, yeah. But, like, look around you. These people like James Dean, who came from nothing to where he is. You look at all the success stories in Irish automotive culture, as far as I'm concerned, very unlikely that they would have happened at all. And determination,
the odds are against.
Determination is that constant throughout all of it, and not saying, oh, well, here's all the reasons I can't do it, so I'm not going to bother trying. And at that stage, it's easier sometimes to blame those reasons than to just say, I'm too lazy to do it, or I didn't have enough commitment, or I was a bit scared. Scared is something else. People don't want to fail. Again, people are afraid to fail in public. We certainly aren't. We've been doing it for about 10 years now.
We actually had the chance to edit out our fails, and we still put them in.
In the last episode, I was just saying about the S15, I actually physically said, I could have turned around and gone, Josh, I want you to edit out the bit that makes me look like an idiot. But I'm going, sure, that's what I said, so that's what I said. I mean, I don't care as much as people might think, but I'm like, put in your failures. Let people know, show you're a real person, and that you have struggles, and you can't always get everything right every day. It's just it's a good vibe, because people will encourage you then, more so than if you're there saying, I am class, but really behind it all, you haven't much to back it up. So
as long as you learn something from it, I think there's nothing wrong in failing. It's not embarrassing.
No. So as I said, I was going to do a little bit of an update on the compound, which is basically that misery. Just got basic pricing done.
That was the same as last week.
Yeah, do you know what? We're making progress. I'm waiting now on an approval before something for an architect, something for a planning. It's slow. I still think, though, November, December, I still think it'll happen. I still think we can get it
Would
done.
that be the okay?
No, I think we'll have it built.
Built?
Yeah.
With a T at the end.
I would like December.
At the end.
I would like December to be open for December, like Christmas, around Christmas time. Oh, so I'm thinking, the last bash is in December 2nd and 3rd, and then we have all of our events done for the year. So it'd be quite cool if, like, a week or two after that, we could open. That would be cool. Like, finish the whole calendar, tick all the boxes, go to all the events, drift all the cars, build out everything, have a great year, meet everybody, and then bang, just before Christmas. Put a Christmas tree in there, Josh. You'd love that.
Put a Christmas tree in there.
Yeah.
Is that how you want to get me excited for it?
No, it's going to be a lot of work. I know it's going to be a lot of work.
The realist will say, yeah.
I'd be like, we'll see.
Yeah.
You're like my parents when I was young.
Yeah.
We'll see.
Yeah.
We'll see. Maybe.
Well, if you can do it, then do it.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you can
happens,
dream it,
it
you can
happens.
build it.
Yeah.
And if you can build it, they will come.
You'd hope.
Hopefully.
You'd hopefully. Or we'll be back on this conversation
Yeah.
again next to the podcast going, no, we're struggling, lads. We're
Does
struggling.
that-
Struggling again, didn't go too well.
Does anybody want to buy a compound?
Yeah, does anybody else? It's 2 weeks old.
You know what I'm saying? If you build it, they will come.
We haven't
They didn't
even
come.
taken the plastic off the windows, lads. She's ready to move in.
Never used or abused.
Can be used for farm animals or storage
Great
or
business potential.
strawberry storage is ready.
Yeah.
So what we're going to do is we're
Genuine reasons only.
going to the Middle East. So we're currently, when you hear
Technically,
this,
we could be on a flight.
we could be in the Middle East. We could be in a flight.
Are we on a flight?
We'll have left Frankfurt 2 hours ago.
How about that? Think
Heading
about
over
that.
Abu Dhabi.
Imagine
In the
we're
future.
in the future right now. We don't even know if that flight's gone well or not.
Oh, don't.
Why would I mean, like, as in, we don't know if it's been uncomfortable. If you've got a screaming baby beside you, don't go that far, Josh.
I was gonna say.
Yeah, if on Sky News you see plane
Don't
down.
say it. Why would you?
Then we'd be like, the podcast. It'd be like Final Destination.
This is deep. This
No,
is
sorry.
deep.
Yeah.
Remember us here.
Wow.
Anyway, Jesus, we've gone too far again. Right, what I say is, calendar's out. Have a check of it, because if you didn't see it on social media, it's there, and that's what we're going to be planning on doing this year. Go check out the couple of previous vlogs. Go back and watch the last podcast if this is your first podcast, because it'll make more sense what we were saying at the start. Can't believe we got this far without knowing what we were talking about at the start. Anyway.
We should have said that at the start.
Yeah, and we got a couple more videos coming up from the Middle East. We don't know what we're doing there yet, but we're going to try and make.
We're
a
on the
couple
way
videos
there.
We did the one shot last week. That went down pretty
Yeah,
well. It was easy and quick to do. We probably do one of those in the Middle East.
Yep.
And then we come back next week, and S15 has to be done. The van has to be done. I'm not going to say what the PS. There's things have escalated today on the red PS13, and
I thought you were going to say another PS13.
there could be. And then
What?
I'm just saying there could be another one here, and then there was the grey one needs to be fixed, and then
Because you broke it.
I broke it.
If you missed that in the video.
I admitted that I broke
Wayne
it.
Curran.
I didn't admit it as much as Wayne outed me.
Outed.
And then made me,
Outed you.
like a bold schoolboy. Tell them what you did.
Go on, do it.
Tell them. If you don't, I will.
Yeah. Tell them what you did in your own words, or they'll be mine. So yeah, Wayne outed me on that. But it was a good video. I'm actually looking forward. The S15 is the one I'm looking forward to most, because it's the one I can't picture at the moment, the finished product, because it's going to be so dramatically different than the rest are getting.
You know what? The colour could be awesome
Awful.
or horrific.
And even
You got how many? 4 phone calls from
4
Jay.
phone calls and 10 photos from Jay holding this piece of vinyl in different lights, in his sunlight, in the bathroom, out the back of the field with a cow looking at it going, "Why am I on, David? It's fairly out there." He was like, and I said, and the worst thing is when you say, "Do you think it'll be good?" and your answer you want is, "Yeah, it'll be class," but you get that one answer you never want. It'll be different. And it means nothing. It means, I don't know.
It could look good.
It could. You want it to be different. I was like, well, then it want to be different, just crap. But anyway, that's coming up very soon. We got a lot more videos coming up. Thank you guys for sticking around for the end of the podcast. Hopefully it's kept you entertained along the way. Chats, that's all these are. If you like this kind of loose chat, if you want us to be more specific on stuff, I don't know. This is just kind of us chatting. And
Tell us topics to talk about.
you tell us, people.
We got through a few topics on this one.
We did better than
We
last
only
one.
got 2 on
We're
the last
learning.
one.
We are. a very experienced 1 week old podcast.
Hopefully, we made the third episode,
I think
anyways.
there was like 7 topics for the first episode, and we covered 2.
Yeah, so we did all right. I think we can tick to many more boxes. So we're going to go to the Middle East. We're going to come back. We've obviously got Dubshed in 2.5 weeks, 3 weeks.
2.5 weeks,
Scary.
yeah, we're fine. Well,
I have to finish 5 cars. I like how my 5 cars are going, and you boys can say, well, me's looking pretty attractive to get my cars done. Dave's like 2.5 weeks. And I'm looking at everything that's wrong with them, and I'm looking at all the parts still to go on them. But anyway, we're going to make a push. It's going to be a nice little dash to the finished.
Yeah.
And then the year gets pretty wild from there on in of how busy it is. So stay tuned. It's going to be fun. And we'll be talking to you through all of our experiences from behind the scenes and behind the camera on the podcast throughout the year. So that's another extension of the vlog, of all the stories. Because at the moment, nothing's happening. We're just sitting in a cold shed. But then when we get to that point, we'll be able to tell some good stories from our travels that didn't make the videos.
Story time.
We can have story time with the boys.
out yonder.
Out beyond. Farting. Out
farting.
with the boys. So anyway, we'll leave you at that. Obviously, subscribe to the channel. Thank you guys for listening. This is also on Spotify if you're watching on YouTube. And in the future, you can subscribe to our Spotify if you want to hear it rather than see it.
On Spotify, and we're also on
if
YouTube.
you're on Spotify, we're also on YouTube. And we're in and around everything. We're doing a bit of TikTok. We're doing a bit of Instagrams.
And
we're doing a bit of Velvet.
Buy some merch.
Buy some merch.
Do some bits.
Do some bits.
Support the lads.
Why do you look at that hoodie? Rotten. Get one of ours. That kind of thing. Right? That's kind of what I'm saying. Please help us keep this company going. we get some slow music at the end. The boys have spent too much money on cars. That is not sad music. That is.
It's the only one I've got.
I can't put out a plea for a few quid on
Buy some
hyped
merch.
jazz. Yeah, jazz music. If you would like to buy some merch,
You know, if he has like a slow clap, maybe we don't. Oh no, wait, that was a
just
joke.
a drum roll. Who gave you the sound effects board? Honestly,
That's the sound of your life.
imagine him as like the sound engineer for Bruce Springsteen. It would just be a Casio keyboard drum loop going for 4 hours with Bruce trying to keep up. Anyway, that's all we got time for tonight, guys. Thank you very much for watching. There'll be more videos coming on the channel very soon. From Josh, from Adam, from me. We'll see you guys on the whichever camera. This one.
I would take
Goodbye.
my hands out, but they're in my pocket because they're
frozen. Because you're soft.
It's cold.
essentially.
It's cold.
Have you ever watched The Revenant? Come back to me.
And we're out.
And that's the sentence to end it.